Remembering Abigail, Voices from the Past is a special presentation coming up at the Thomas Crane Public Library this month, October 27th from 2 to 3 p.m. This is presented in partnership with the Boston Women's Heritage Trail, and it's all part of the year-long celebration of Abigail Adams called Remembering Abigail. Mary Rudder is here to tell us a little bit more about the organization, about the partnership, and about this special presentation. Mary, thanks for coming over. Great to see you.
So the Boston Women's Heritage Trail began in 1989, and it was a group of teachers under a fund that met together several times over the year and decided to investigate and determine which women should be on a trail. So this is way back before computers were that popular.
Sure.
So we devised a trail, and there are several neighborhood trails also. So we have a website that's bwht.org, which people can visit, and it'll tell you all the information about the different trails we have, including the downtown.
Oh, okay. We've heard obviously a lot about the Freedom Trail. That's probably the most popular one. I have not heard myself of the Boston Women's Heritage Trail.
And that was the problem we had in 1989.
Sure.
There was no recognition of women at that time.
Yeah.
So
okay.
that's been our mission.
Okay. What other women are on the trail? How many are there?
Oh, countless.
Oh, there are?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And is it an actual, like the Freedom Trail?
It doesn't have footprints, but you can actually, we have a book, and we have a website. We could actually download the different trails from the website and follow the different actual places that you could visit with a little bit of history, blurb of history.
Okay.
And Boston by Foot has taken one of the downtown trails to do. So
very good. And are they all located within the Boston city limits?
they're all in Boston,
All in Boston.
in the Boston neighborhoods.
Okay.
And some of the trails were devised by school children.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so they determined who they'd like to recognize.
In their neighborhood, they got together and determined, with teachers in different schools would work with their students, and then they would determine which ones would be accepted to the trail.
Okay.
And my friend Maria and I worked on the one for Charlestown, and we just revised it 2 years ago.
Okay.
Because you find people that you didn't even know about now that there's access to information on web.
Now, is it all women, say, from the time of the founding fathers, or is it more contemporary women also?
There are more contemporary, but the requirement was the women had to be dead 20 years just to make sure they didn't have any hidden history behind them.
Sure, yeah, okay.
So that was the information we had to go by.
Okay. Obviously, one of the most famous women in history is Abigail Adams.
Exactly.
No question. And, of course, proud to mention that here in the City of Presidents as well. How did this particular program come along?
So we were asked by the Mass Historical Society.
Sure.
I might get the name wrong, but
No, I think that's right.
there were several meetings of things that they wanted to do to celebrate Abigail. Well, not really celebrate, but commemorate her 200th anniversary of her passing. So that began last year because she would have died in 1818.
Oh, okay.
So we went to the meetings, or I went to the meeting as a representative, and we thought about it. And people had great ideas, but we're just a small little. So we had intended to do one at the beginning of the year, but it was the 15th anniversary of the Boston Women's Memorial, of which Abigail is part of. So it conflicted. So it was like, all right, what do we do now? And so we decided we'd go to the end. We're like the closing feature almost. And we would, what can we do about Abigail? And so we didn't want to do Abigail because there's many people that portray her. And so we thought we wanted to tie her in with important women in her life. So who would be important in her life but her mother, her sister. She was very close to her two sisters, very close. And her daughter, her friend, Mercy Otis Warren. Well, they were friends for a short period of time, and then they had a little political tiff.
Okay.
And then Louisa, her daughter-in-law, who ends up to be a first lady as well.
Right, yes.
So those are the 5 women that will be here on October 27th.
Okay, all right. And it's, obviously, did you choose the Thomas Crane Library because of the fact that both Abigail and Louisa are buried here in Quincy?
It was perfect because I had met Clayton at some of the meetings, and then we were like, well, where can we do this? And then I had going to the meetings, I had gone to the crypt, and I was like, this is the perfect place for it. So I asked Clayton if maybe we could get together and he said, perfect.
Yeah.
So he welcomed us, and we were very excited about it.
Oh, that's just great. So it's October 27th, 2 to 3 p.m. So what will be happening that afternoon, Mary?
You'll meet Elizabeth.
Okay.
You'll meet the sister, Mary Smith Cranch.
Yes.
And you'll meet Nabby, her daughter. Even though they've all passed on,
Right. Yeah.
we're lucky enough to bring them back so that they can give their views of Abigail. Because a lot of times we just have the view of she's the wife of John Adams and
Right.
the mother of John Quincy.
Right.
And this is just a little bit of a different take on her.
Okay. So more of maybe a personal look at
More
Abigail?
of a rounder look, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And so is it an actual show, like a play, or how does it portray?
There will be women who will be speaking as those characters.
Okay. Okay.
And they're using a lot of primary source from letters, but there aren't a lot of letters from Elizabeth, so some of them are taken from letters of the other children, and quotes from her are put into her remembrances.
Okay. Well, of course, Abigail herself was a prolific writer. There's a vast amount of material
Exactly.
from her. Yeah. So what is kind of, I guess, the goal? What would you like folks to learn from the presentation or take away from it?
I think we want to make her a more rounded person, more real person. So she's not just like a character in history, but she actually had different kinds of thoughts maybe you were surprised about.
Oh, all right. Okay. We don't want to give away too much,
No,
right?
no,
We want folks to come out and see it.
Yes.
And obviously, Abigail is joining us here in
Yes,
studio.
this is her older years, but
Yeah.
you know, as she said, age wasn't pleasing to everybody.
Right. Yeah. Where is this actual statue?
This is at Commonwealth Avenue in Boston. There's a beautiful memorial to 3 women.
Okay.
It's Phyllis Wheatley and Abigail Adams and Lucy Stone.
Okay. Now, will you yourself be part of the presentation here at the library?
I shall be.
Okay. You would tell us who you will play, or no?
I'm actually her mother.
Oh, very good. Okay. So, are you kind of a fan of Abigail, if you will, or a follower of her?
I am.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the script, so even I'm finding things about her that I didn't really, wow, that's a different dimension
Okay.
about her. So I think that it's, I mean, unless you want to go read all her letters
Yeah.
and do a lot of research on her, I think you'll get a different picture of her.
All right. Well, sounds interesting. Really does. Sounds obviously very educational for folks who might not know the different side of her. She was more than just the first lady, right? She
More
was-
than a first lady.
Yeah.
She was a sister, a daughter, a mother,
Right.
a friend,
A wife.
and a mother-in-law.
Yeah. Oh, right. Of course. Yes. Let's not forget that either.
Yes, and that could be a whole different dimension.
Yeah. Now, is this a show that you're taking at other places also, or is
This will be the only
The only-
time we do it.
okay? All right. Well, we look
It's a
forward to that.
special occasion just for Abigail.
Yeah.
And
it
that's
is-
why it's the final farewell.
Who do you think would enjoy it, Mary? I mean.
I think people interested in history, kids,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think
they might
people.
learn something. They might get interested in another person. Surprisingly, she had another sister she was very close to, but she lived in Atkinson, New Hampshire.
Ah.
So,
Don't hear a lot about that.
no, and she was a great writer. In fact, I think she wanted to be a writer, but, career didn't happen that way.
Right. Yeah. And at the time, that would have
No.
been unusual to say the least.
Yes,
Right. Yeah.
definitely.
Very good. Anything else you'd like to share about the Boston Women Heritage Trail or this presentation in particular?
No, I think we just tried to get women involved. We have a Facebook,
'Kay.
And we don't just feature Boston women. We feature women from all parts
Oh.
of history.
Okay.
They just have to be deceased, but they could be recently deceased.
Okay.
So
all
we
right.
just want to recognize women's role in the world
Sure.
and history in general.
Well, we look forward to your presentation here. Thank you so much for stopping by to tell us a little bit about it. Hope you have a great turnout.
I hope so too. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks again, Mary. Again, that's Remembering Abigail, Voices from the Past, Sunday, October 27th, 2 to 3 p.m. at the Thomas Crane Public Library, presented in partnership with the Boston Women's Heritage Trail, and it's part of the year-long celebration of Abigail Adams called Remember Abigail. You can learn more about this and all of the programs at the library at their website, thomascranelibrary.org.